Hello there and welcome to Finland. If you're new here, my name is Herta and I grew up in Finland, moved then to Austria, but moved back here 2022 with my family, and we have been living now in the countryside since 2 years. And I was thinking it would be interesting to make a video about what are the exact costs if you are living in the Finnish countryside, because there are a lot of videos about what does it cost of living in Finland, but they are mostly single persons or so living in a city, and that's why I thought maybe this is something that could help someone who is maybe planning to move to the countryside of Finland and not to a city. First of all, the house prices are a lot lower in Finland than in many other countries. Even in Helsinki, you could get a real big private house with a decent garden for less than 300,000 euros, which sounds obviously totally insane, for example, for people from Tyrol. If you went to the countryside, you sometimes see houses for under 20,000 euros. Most of them need then, of course, quite a lot of money for renovation, but there are also lots of places which you can buy, move into and renovate while you live there. But if you don't want to renovate and you want a ready house where you can move into straight and you don't have to do anything, then it costs, of course, a bit more. For different people, luxury means so different things. For us, luxury is being able to live here in this peace and quiet, swimming without seeing anyone, being outside, hearing only birds, being able to live in such an old house full of history and do here whatever we want. So we paid for this, our small paradise, 68,000 euros with 2 hectares land, a lake and a stream. We didn't want to use too much our savings. That's why we took a home loan for 10 years, which we pay 500 euros per month. Once a year is an interest rate check, but the amount always stays about the same. If you buy a house in Finland, you also have to pay a real estate transfer tax, which is 3% at the moment. But I hope no one is planning to move to Finland because of the cheap house prices and then think that after that they will have so much money left. Because it's very cold in here and you need a lot of money for keeping you warm, and it's also very dark in the winter, which means you also need a lot of electricity, which can cost a bit more than in some other places in the winter time. And the distances are very long, meaning living in the countryside without a car as a family is maybe not the best thing to do. It can work, but well, for us it was unthinkable. So that means the car costs are also there. The second one, heating costs. It depends so much about where you are, what kind of house you have, how old is it, how old is your heating system, how effective is it, how good your house is isolated, and. That's why this is a thing what you really can't compare that much. But I will tell you what we have. We have an old oil central heating in our 140 square meters house, and then we have this 50 square meters sauna house, which we also heat, and also altogether 7 fireplaces, which means we also buy wood. Our aim is to have then at some point own forest where we get then our own wood, but it's not that it's not a priority yet. However, last year we paid for heating at first for oil about 233 euros per month, and for wood about 115 euros per month. So altogether 348 euros per month. Of course, we paid only from October to let's say February maybe, March, it depends a bit. But here I put all the costs, so per month. Electricity was very cheap in Finland for a very long time, and even though the prices have risen, it's still quite cheap compared with some other countries. The monthly basic costs depend a bit where you live and which operator you have. Our basic cost is 22 euros per month. Otherwise, you can take a fixed price for your electricity or a energy exchange price, which we have. I do follow the prices a bit. For example, like if the price is very, very high, I don't do laundry. I rather wait for the next day or for the sun to shine, because we have also a small solar system. During 1 year, we paid for electricity altogether 1,534 euros, means about 127 euros per month. Third one, for water, we don't pay anything, because 1 year before we bought this house, he was built a new drilling well. But unfortunately, we are experiencing at the moment some problems with it, because there's probably manganese, too much of manganese in it. That's why we should do now a water analysis and build a filter there. But until now, we haven't been paying anything for the water. There's no traffic here, but it can get otherwise a bit loud. However, other monthly costs are internet, for what we pay 35 euros per month. And that's a very, very good thing in Finland. The internet is very cheap and it's very good. Even here in the middle of the forest, we have a very fast 5G, which is working very well. In Austria, even in the cities, you would pay a lot more for a lot worse internet. Then 5, we have 4 cell phones, for which we would pay about 60 euros per month, 15 euros per phone, if I would change also the last 2 contracts. The problem is that when you move to Finland, you don't have any bank account, you don't have anything, and you also don't have this credit liability thing, because you have been living outside of Finland. And that's why not even the operators are not giving you a real SIM card. You can buy only this kind of prepaid. And I already changed 2 of them to real contracts, because after 2 years living here, then you are able to do it. However, I should also change them as well. And then we will pay about 60 euros per month. Then 6th, 1 bank account costs monthly about 10 euros with the loan costs, and otherwise it would cost 2.5 euros, but Stefan's account doesn't cost anything. Then we have also our business accounts, but it's not, I don't include that to this one. House insurance depends, of course, a lot about what kind of house you have and what kind of insurance you have. And what everything is included. But we pay 656 euros per year, means 55 euros per month. Then property tax is for us 230 euros per year, means 19 euros per month. Property tax is also differs a lot, but when you are looking at the house announcements to sale, there you also see every time what a property tax do you have. For waste management, we pay 128 euros per year, means 10 euros per month. Water management, we pay about 160 euros per year, means about 13 euros per month. Chimney sweeper comes once a year. Last year it cost 135 euros with all these. Did I say 7 fireplaces? Yes. Means 13 euros per month. Then we have a 400 meters long private road house, which our neighbor is blowing in the winter. And this costed last winter 338 euros, means 28 euros per month. So I think that's all the costs for living, for house and so on. And altogether it's 1,216 euros per month. And then there's, of course, the car. We didn't have any car in Innsbruck because we didn't need any car, and it was a really nice life without a car because cars are so expensive. We don't have any car loan, but our annual car taxes are 618 euros and the insurance 343 euros. And it means 80 euros per month goes for the insurance and the taxes. But of course, for diesel, we pay about 100 euros per month. sometimes less, sometimes more. And then of course you have to change the oil, the tires, sometimes you have to buy new tires, sometimes something's broken or yeah. But I don't even have any idea how much a car costs, because I hate cars and it just yeah. But you obviously can't live without a car here in the countryside with kids. So let's say 1,260 euros plus 180 euros, all in all 1,396 euros. For that you can live here in the countryside. So even though we pay so many different things here, all this together is still less than what we paid in Austria only for our rent for our 80 square meters apartment, because I think the last year which we were living there, it was about 1,450 euros or so, and only the rent without any other costs, electricity, internet, and. Then the other costs, like medical costs, for example, you obviously have to pay your obligatory medical insurance, but I don't know what seeing a doctor here costs, because you never get an appointment to a doctor. So that's why I think it's something 20 to 30 euros. The kids get checked in the school, and they also have a free dental care until they are 18 years old. And for an adult, a public dental check costs about 10 to 30 euros, depending who is looking, and a private one about 100 euros.
And if you are an entrepreneur like we are, you also are forced to participate this pyramid scam named UEL, which will take your money for pension funds. How much you have to pay depends on how much you do earn, but clear is that as a young person we will obviously never see that money again, compared to we could invest it by ourselves like in some other countries.
Then I have already mentioned that I don't think that the groceries are that expensive here in Finland. And then I found out that it is because in Austria they are about the same price or even more expensive. How much we pay differs a bit, but usually it's something between 700 to 1,000, 1,100 euros or so. For 4 persons, 1 dog and 2 cats. This is obviously something what we want to get a bit smaller, not only because of the money, but also because the homegrown stuff just tastes so much better. You know what you eat. It's also like the transfer from the 10 to 15 meters from the garden to the kitchen. It's and it's a lot of fun to try new things and be able to really go to the garden and eat stuff from there and plan. I'm always planning our weekly menus and then plan these menus from your own stuff. It's really nice. Then you of course need some new stuff like new clothes and new shoes and every now and then. But luckily we all hate shopping and we buy stuff only when we really need it, and then mostly online, because there you just have a better look. You can watch and this is what I want and this is what I order, and then I'll just go and pick it up. And hobbies need money of course as well, and our both kids play football at the moment, which costs about I think 60 euros per season, 60 or something like that. If you're not playing the real games, then if you are, then you also have to buy a game pass and an insurance, which costs then 40 to 90 euros extra. And me and Stefan, we see our whole life as a hobby. We have been talking about it, and that's why we don't have any real hobbies. So how the people see the hobbies, we like in Austria we were snowboarding and hiking a lot and doing things like that, but here we do stuff here. We like it a lot, and I go husky sledding in the winter, but I also get paid for that, so I guess it's also not a real hobby. We see like the gardening and our animals as a hobby, but we also raise them for food, so I don't know. Oh, and I think most of the people go to a hairdresser or barber whatsoever. I have always done it for all of us, including myself. That's why I have no clue what would it cost. Our teenager has now started to want some more complicated hairstyles, and I always ask him like, it could be better that if you would go to a real barber. And he's always like, no, you can do it, and let's test it. And then we say, okay, if it's not working, then afterwards you have to go to a barber. But until now, he has always been very satisfied. So I think that's about it. I hope I didn't forget anything that big or important. We also think that with an old house like this, but also with a newer house, but especially with an old house and its surroundings, you would need average maybe 10,000 euros per month extra to renovate, just to maintain it, because every now and then you will need new pipes, new roof, new paint, and there are lots of things which you can do by yourself and so save a lot of money. But there are also many things where you like to have rather professional, like some electricity or plumber works. Obviously, these kinds of costs are very, very, very individual, and it depends so much about what kind of house you have and what kind of lifestyle you have, and so on. But I hope this could open a bit. What would a family need if they would like to live in the countryside in Finland? If you have a new effective heating system, you clearly don't need that much money for heating. That's also something what we want to update at some point. And then, like I said, if you have your own forest, then you don't need that much money for wood. But then, of course, you need the time to work the wood. So everything depends a bit about different things. Being able to live here, doing things which we like without anyone looking and saying what's allowed and what's not, being able to affect your own life so much is just really, really nice. Especially as you see how the world and how the people are changing. We don't want to live in a world like that, and that's why it's really nice to have our small paradise here and be able to develop our life here further. So, I hope you liked this video, and if you got some questions, just write me those. I wish everyone a really nice day, and we will see us maybe next time. Bye bye!